If I reminded you that you are perfect, would you argue me down or step into your perfection? Welcome to Perfect Mode, where there are no excuses, no expectations, and we explore the world without limitations. I'm JClay, rapper and spiritual teacher, with my co-host Troy Washington, your friendly neighborhood realtor. Let's be real, so let's be perfect.
Perfect mode.
Everything, anything, 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 perfect. Everything, anything, 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 perfect mode. Everything, anything, 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 perfect mode. Everything, anything, 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 perfect mode. Perfect mode, perfect mode, perfect mode, perfect mode, perfect mode, perfect mode, perfect mode. Everything, anything, 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 perfect mode, perfect mode. Everything, anything, 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 perfect mode.
Perfect.
What up? What up? What up? Welcome to Perfect Mode. It's yours truly, Troy Washington, your friendly neighborhood realtor. I have my boy JClay, spiritual rapper and teacher. And we got to jump on here today and say we are grateful. We are grateful. We have another week that we get to live and show you how perfect you are. Hopefully help you realize you're perfect. And the reason why we can unapologetically jump on and say that today is because we know that you are one of one, numero uno. You cannot be replicated, duplicated. And the only reason you will sit back and think that you are not perfect is if you're looking at this person over here and saying, hey, they not me or they doing it different than me. But guess what? You are. And today we are about to talk about boredness or boldness. See, you know how I switched it up on you today? You could be cheating yourself. You could be cheating yourself. See, you got to figure it out. But, shouts out. What up, Jay? What's going on, brother?
What up? Happy Sunday. Happy perfect day to all the perfect people in perfect land doing their perfect thing always, because perfect is all we can be. And recognizing and getting to actually experience it and recognize it and see it for what it is. Yeah, man, just happy to be here. So I want to say so much about this topic, man, but yeah, go ahead.
No. So the crazy thing about it is when I first saw the topic, boredness or boldness, you could be cheating yourself. I was kind of like, man, what am I doing or what am I not doing? I had to figure it out. But I'm going to go ahead and let you kick this thing off and we're going to just roll with it, brother.
Yeah, so it's continuing the same guidelines we've been talking about these previous weeks, like, going big, making sure the odds are in your favor. And I was really trying to think of a way to illustrate this and pinpoint this in a way that's kind of new, but it is still going along the same direction. So everyone can, in a sense, participate in this. So what came up was boredom. I was actually thinking about boredom and how like thinking about what boredom actually is. And when you really look at it, it's a limitation. And what I mean is a person would be bored because they feel that they probably can't do what they really want to do. And so they kind of just settled right now, like, okay, well, I don't really want to do, I can do this, I don't want to do this, but they haven't gone beyond what they actually could do because they just don't, they might not think it's possible right now for that particular reason. But that's furthest from the truth. But go ahead, you want to say something first.
No, I want to jump in and elaborate on that point right there, right? So we starting with boredness, right? And what boredom truly is like, and the reality of it is I've been bored in a place where I had a lot of things to do. And the funniest thing about being in that boredom and having plenty of things to do but not doing them, me not being able to tap into myself and figure out why I would not be bored doing it, or why is there a lack of interest in me moving? Because I've sat there before and I've seen how great or grand the world is around me, but then felt like, you know what, I don't know right now for whatever reasons. But go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, and just to clarify, even like in the boredness, I'm not even saying to even motivate yourself to do the stuff that you said needs to be done. I'm talking about going beyond that. Forget that, because I mean, if you're bored, obviously you don't want to do the stuff that's in front of you, which again is a limitation because you're like, man, I got to do this stuff. I want to do it. I'm just gonna be bored. I'm just bored. But it's more to that limitation than you realize, and there's a way to really tap in to go beyond that where you'll never be bored again.
Yeah, and so to that thought. And again, this is just only my train of thought. I know we got to jump into this even more, and we're gonna go further with it. But I'm with you 100% when you're saying not forcing yourself to do anything, because that's polar opposite of what I ever want to encourage anybody to do, right? But when I think about boredness and then choosing to be bold in that boredness, when I look at it, it's like, okay, right now there are a ton of tasks, or there are a ton of places, or there are a ton of people that I need to be associating with at this moment. But I don't have what I feel like within myself, the energy to participate in any of these things. So where the boldness comes in for me is expanding myself outside of what I see is the next step, or expanding myself out of what I'm seeing is the norm. And I think that's where the whole concept of cheating yourself comes into play. Because again, if I'm sitting in a space, which I've been a lot of times in my life, and I still do today, and I have 1,000 things on the plate to do, right? And I can, even so much so sometimes if there's something that I want to do that I don't feel like is going to be a hindrance to me in my own mind, like watch TV or play a game, I will not do that as well, because I feel like I'm overwhelmed or enamored by all of the other stuff that I put in front of me. So when I think about the boldness of it, is me actually analyzing the situation, figuring out what's beyond, or what could be beyond it, or what else I could do to expand myself in a way that I feel like I'll be motivated to move. But go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, and I would say, well, okay, yeah, but before I go in there, let's flip it. I want everyone to think about something extraordinary that they did, and like something like you like something big you accomplished, but you didn't even know if you could. You just kind of was like, let me try this, and you did it, and you won big in some way. Like you got something that you didn't think you could get. You got an opportunity, whatever it was, just something big. And when you start to look at it, let's say the steps you took, let's say you didn't get that, right? It was no harm, no foul. You have fun trying for the possibility. It's like we talked about before, setting intentions but not expectations. Like you hoped, you intended for you to get, what you wanted, but the expectations were either way. This might go down, this might not go down. And when you really look at it this way, it's like, I had so much fun in the attempt that whether I got it or not, it's not a waste on the back end, because all I got was more hours of fun added to my life. But because I actually got what I intended for, I have more hours of fun added to my life, and the story and circumstances around, wow, I can do more than I thought I could. I can reach for something and go for it and be big and bold in that sense. And so it's about, again, changing the game that you're playing, where you set yourself up where there's no downside, but when there's an upside, there's a big upside. Like you win big. The odds are in your favor to win versus to lose. Go ahead.
And no, I 100% agree, and I love that thought process, because again, in my mind, the thought process of being bold is being able to see beyond the limitations. Because the reality again is the only reason that I'm not moving now is because there are too many limitations in front of me. Like I've built a whole bunch of hurdles that might not even be realistic, right? Or they could be realistic, but there is always another process that's better suiting to the way that my life is running at this time for me to be willing to do it. And I think a big part of being bold is trying to look outside of what you're seeing directly in front of you. Look, in building businesses that we've done, whether it be with music, even me as a broker, or the record label. Like number one, just use a record label as an example. It's crazy because once you experience it, it feels like it's something easy. But if you had asked me at a time, you're gonna have a record label, you're gonna have like 20 artists, you're gonna be pushing them all over, you're gonna get paid all of this money to manage all of these people. I remember looking at the hurdle. I remember looking at all the time that I didn't want to do stuff. I remember coming up with all the excuses for why it would be too much to handle or too overbearing. I remember all of those things. But I also remember sitting back and saying, okay, all that stuff aside, what is the next step for me? And then going beyond that and creating exactly what I just said. And I think that's the boldness of it, because we all feel like there's a limitation stopping us from being whatever we want to be. This is the reason why we're all sitting in this place. Like, I don't know a person that really, now I want to make sure I say this. I'm not saying that people are not happy in what they've been able to create for their lives. I'm happy for what I've been able to create for my life, what I've been able to put in front of me. But that doesn't mean that I haven't aspired to have more. All the people that are around me have all aspired to have more, because they feel like they're worth more than what they've been able to put out. But a part of that is the lack and the limitations that we have given ourselves to say that, well, these hurdles are that we can't deal with that, right? And so I think that boldness is a big part of being able to see beyond that and figure out, well, okay, what is the next step? What else makes this make sense for me?
Right, and see, and I'm even saying you're going so beyond steps. You don't even see steps. You don't even see hurdles. Like, steps don't even matter. It's almost like, okay, let's say you had this car, your dream car that you wanted, and you had a thought like, I could try this, see if I can get it. It's worth trying. It takes an hour of my time, 2 hours of my time. I can try to see if I can get it. If I don't get it, it's cool. I'm still. I have like, you would have so much joy about doing this thing to try to get what you really want, that, again, there's no hurdles. Versus, let's say you say you want a new car, but you can only afford the base bottom car that you can, but you feel you need a car, but to get it, you still got to take some steps. You got to use the same amount of time and do some steps. You're not feeling that. You're like, man, why can't I do this? I know this is all I got to do to get a car, and I can get a car if I do these steps. Everybody say if I do these steps, I will get a car. I just can't do it. But it's because, like, you're not bold enough. It's what you want. You're not really going after what you want in such a way that it's creative. Like, that's creation in action, because you're saying, oh, maybe I can contact the car company directly, or maybe I can contact the people who sell this car, or maybe I can make a deal with an Uber driver that Ubers with this car. Something like it's so many ways you can handle it, and that's what the joy is. Go ahead.
No, I want her, and again, that's the reason why I want to bring back the whole music tip. In the entire time we were pushing the Slip records or Supreme records, I always wanted to make money. I always wanted to figure out a way to make money. And so what would happen was there was this grand thought process that was always running in the foreground. Again, it's not saying that we was like actively working on it, but I was always thinking of specific ways to get paid. Now, the funniest part about that was all those specific ways, and I want to say 100%, I want to say 98% of the specific ways that I came up with to get paid never happened. And along the pathway, every time a new one of those pathways came up, I became desensitized or less believing in whatever that process was. Now, that's one side of it, right? Yeah. Now, I got paid a lot of money during this time, but the ways that I got paid were never the planned ways that I was strategically trying to come up with. And so there was and again, I'm not advocating for not planning. I'm advocating for boldness, going beyond whatever the plan is, because there was this entire planned, blueprinted out pathway that I had all the answers to. And then there was no matter what, this is the other side, I'm just doing this. No matter what, I'm just doing this. And that was the bold part of me. Now, again, it doesn't always look like that apples for apples in every situation, because we also talking about not just doing things and thinking beyond where our mind is saying. But at that time, I was only limited to 2 blocks. Limited to 2 blocks. And that was go the pathway and then don't stop. And my boldness was the don't stop. And that's what ended up getting me more than I had ever imagined. But go ahead, Jay.
Yeah. Yeah. And similarly, so it's about knowing what you want, but also knowing what game you're playing. And if you're comfortable playing that game. So again, like for me, the game is happiness. How can I be happy every moment of every day? Is it even possible? I don't know. I want to try. I love being happy. And so even the idea of certain things that I could try to get or try to attain, or just opportunities I can put myself in, just the idea of it gives me joy. And while I'm actively doing any steps that need to be done to fulfill that, that's bringing me joy too. So already I'm winning. I'm winning at this game. There's no losing side as long as I'm following that. But, and then there's a big but, like if what I'm going for is mediocre in my mind in some way, it's not the same. It's not the same. It's like it becomes, I have to do this. And not only that, my aim might be so low that I'm kind of doing this just to break even. Like I heard something recently how people talked about, like, or maybe we talked about it, about getting out of debt. But when you get out of debt, you're still at zero. It does nothing. You know what I mean? Like you're negative, and then you get to zero. You still got to get to positive. But a lot of people are setting their aim for getting out of debt instead of for what they really want. And even if you don't make it about money, what kind of lifestyle do you want? What kind of company do you want to be amongst? And like really setting that aim, but making sure it's a joyful aim that you have so much joy to move forward on it. And if you don't, it's because you haven't set the right aim.
So I'm gonna say, well, number one, I loved your touch on mindset, and the reason why I say that is because, okay, so it's two things here, right? So I don't want to say that having a happy mindset is not a goal, right? Or having a positive mindset is not a goal. It is a goal, though. You know what I mean? It is something that you have to work at trying to perfect or to accomplish in some kind of way, right? So the reason why I point that out, number one, is because even in our conversation, a big part of this is, you said if you have a mediocre mindset somewhere, then that's going to be on the forefront. It's going to be what's going to come out in the front of everything that you're doing. So I encourage, when you're trying to figure out what game you play, included in that game, no matter what, having a peace of mind and joy is included in it. And I talked to you about this whenever I did goals with my team this year. At the beginning of the year, I had everybody run down whatever their goals were, right? And a part of me doing that was just an exercise for them to be able to see what it is that they wanted to accomplish, right? But when I responded to all of them, at the end, the way that I would do it is I would write their goal out. I would put what I think are ideas of things that they could do in order to accomplish that goal. And then the next piece to it was, how can this be fun? Or how can you make this fun? And I'm saying that because I think that they both go kind of hand in hand. Like, no matter what, in your boldness, your mind state has to be prominent. It has to be a big part of it, in my personal opinion, because there's no way that I'm going to be thinking about being bold if I already have a mediocre mindset. And when I was talking about, in the beginning, when we were pushing stuff for the record label, like, not a true failure, but not accomplishing the goal, I started to develop a certain mindset about how this could go wrong. And so whenever I was developing that mindset of how this could go wrong, it just kind of transferred into other things within my life. Like, I would say, okay, I got a great idea. Okay, how can this go wrong? And so now you're taking away all your boldness, because I'm not starting out by saying, how would this be fun? How will I be happy? How will I be joyous? Go ahead, man.
Yeah, and I think that's awesome to do. Yet I would make one tweak if possible, and I'll give an example. So,
we gotta tweak, baby. We gotta tweak it, baby.
Yeah. So like I've had time where I set goals, and I'm like, this is a big goal. This is an ambitious goal. Cool. And then let's say I'm going for the goal, and then I would say, how do I make it happy or make it fun within the goal? And I might find a way to do it. But if the tweak was, okay, I'm in this field, what's a fun goal that's both bold and fun by itself? So in the setting of it, like, you don't set it first, it's in the setting of it. So for example, like your real estate team, some of them may have a goal. I want to sell some multi-million-dollar homes. And that could be cool. That could be a cool goal. Like it's respectable, it's bold, but that might not be fun to them. Fun could be, I want to sell a multi-million-dollar home to a famous celebrity, to a famous rapper. Like now it's something different. It's a game within a game where you're gonna win no matter what, because now you're going for it and you're gonna say, oh, okay, how can I contact these people? How can I do this? And it's just it's a slight, like you still get it in both instances, but the fun is as high as the goal instead of under or within the goal.
And even just to add to that, how could this put like this? I would even go as far as to say the goal versus big goal, because I think that quantifying the size of it. Well, what I'm saying is quantifying the size of it also kind of says that it's bigger than something that I can accomplish. So whenever I'm thinking about being, bold, I want everything that in my personal, perspective to kind of be I want to feel like it's within reach. Nothing is bigger than me. Nothing is more bold than something I can accomplish. And again, we only talking about mindset here, like just kind of setting the stage on how you approach this, so that way you get what you're looking for. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah. But before that, you had said something. I didn't hear what you said. You said, sound like you said ego versus ego, but I wasn't sure what you said.
No. I didn't say ego versus ego. I think I was saying the goal versus a big goal. I just
okay, got you.
You know what I'm saying?
Ego, the goal versus the big goal. Got you. Okay.
Yeah, right. And again, it's we're talking about setting the stage. You know what I'm saying? Like making it a part of being bold is knowing.
Yeah.
Right. Like if I classify something as a big goal, then why is it big? Is it bigger than me? Is it, it's the goal. It's what I'm going for. And in that, I know what's fun. I know what's joyous. I know what type of aura it brings around me. And then I also know that I can bring other people on to, do whatever I'm doing. But I just think that mindset and just setting the stage in a way where you normalize, like we talk about baseline, right? People falling off, in whatever way we do, using me as an example, getting behind on a bill, right? And instead of me saying, all right, the goal is double what my bills are, I'm just like, let me just get back to baseline so that way I can repeat the same habit again. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, and I would say too, like, to me, bold is actually in the unknowing. Like, I've had goals that I didn't go for just because I knew I can get it. I was like, I know I can do that. Why do it? I don't feel like doing that because I know I can do it. And then again, this just may be me. But to me, like the bold is in the, I don't know if I can do that, but that seems fun. And if I win big from this. And if I lose, it doesn't matter because I just had the time of my life experiencing what this could be. Like we talked about last week with our Miami trip. We didn't know anything. We didn't know. We thought we knew. We made an informed decision. But until we got there and actually did it, we didn't know, but we were fine with it because we're in Miami. It's a beautiful place to be.
So I want to touch on that, right? The didn't know versus the did know. Because I agree with you. Like, again, the example that I give in the beginning is with the record label, I knew every detail of how we were going to make money. Yeah. But that never, like, for whatever reason, that was never the case. And then you have the other side of it where I did not know how we were going to make money, but for whatever reason, we kept making money and it was coming in different than what I planned. I mean, it just wasn't the same. So, like, the knowing and the not knowing is kind of, for me, where you say like what's the term? Beginner's luck. Like when somebody tries something for the first time and they just kill it, right? Well, whenever somebody's trying something for the first time and they kill it, a lot of the times they actually go into it knowing that they have no knowledge of whatever this thing is, right? But they also go into it knowing that I'm going to do this mug. All the times where I've stepped into that mug, like I was like, oh, this is, now again, I've never played in this arena before, but I know I can do that mug. without having no clue of how it's done. That's what I mean by the knowing. It's more or less of knowledge, but more of a confidence. Like when you can walk around, that's where the boldness comes in. Like, I don't have to have every experience. You know, but I can walk in any room and I can talk with anybody. And I don't care what they talk about. If it's rocket science, I don't know nothing about rocket science, but you want me to tell you what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna hold the conversation. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, okay, I love that. You're saying basically saying the knowingness of yourself. So not the situation, but you know yourself. And yeah, and I'm glad you said that, because again, like, everyone's different, but we all know ourselves, or we should at least try to get to know ourselves. And because of that, our barometer of fun and bold in a sense is different. And we can apply, like, we can do that. Like, man, okay, me knowing how I am, that I don't like to do these things, I don't really care for this, but I like this, I love this. You can set that for yourself where it's always joyful. And just imagine if every game you played was a win big game. Just imagine, and so like, you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose, but the wins make up for all the losses, then some, because you're playing a game of winning so big each time. So like, you don't even care for losses anymore. It's just like, move on to the next big thing. And it's like, even me thinking about this now, like, why haven't I lived like this before? And versus me getting ready to live like this from now on brings me such joy and excitement that even in that is worth it.
And so look, number one, again, in the boldness of it all, like, we should be thinking that every game is a win big game. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. I can literally be winning big. So I'm going to give an example, and I got to bring it to the crib. So shouts out to my wife, Chardonnay Washington, just in case you don't know. But one of the things that I when I say I poke and I pride her all the time on this, no matter where we are, because it's always a conversation, is like husbands and wives watching the same shows, right? Like, because generally we just like different types of stuff, right? But the boldness proposition that I have here is, regardless of the shows that she like, I'm going to watch them and I'm going to like them. That's just something that I've created in my head now. When I was growing up, anytime I was either dating or even once I got married, and my wife would watch, or somebody that I had been with before would watch, like the housewives shows. In my mind, I'm just showing, in my mind, I could not wrap my mind around that being pleasurable or bringing me joy or me being happy to do it. So anytime I saw these things, I was desensitized to what could bring me joy, or what can bring me happiness, or what would make me laugh. Like, it could be something funny as all outdoors, but I would not allow that to happen. Now, using this example that I'm talking about with me and my wife and shows, now, because my mindset is bold happiness, like, no matter what I'm doing, this is a big game that I can win. Now I look at the show when it's brought to me, and it's like, okay, what is this show about? I can enjoy this. I can like these characters. I can. And so what ends up happening all the time is I end up liking the shows more than she likes them. And I will want to finish them more than she wants to finish them. But it's all about the stage setting. It's all about, me, the outlook and the mindset in the beginning in order for that to happen. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah. And like even something like that. So I found that it would even change the type of things that you allow yourself to sit through. Like when you're playing the win big game, you know what I mean? Like it's different. It's like even shows. It's like you would you wouldn't even have to make yourself like a show. And I know what you're saying. Like I'm the same way. Like even stuff that I don't care for, I'm gonna find the good in it. I'm gonna find the joy in it. Like, man, this is good. I'm probably not gonna watch this by myself, but this is great. But I guess what I'm saying too, you won't even be put in a situation where you would have to do that again, because everything you do will be a win big. Where it's almost like you'll be watching the pilots people bring to you, to then that you can say, hey, I'm gonna let this go to air.
No, and that's the exact point that I'm making. Like, that is the exact point that I'm making, is that the mindset for me was to win big all the time, because I could literally sit next to anybody. I could sit next to my wife and watch a show, and choose not to win big. That's literally I can just be right there and not winning.
Yeah.
Now, but when I think about my life and all the times that I'm getting to be happy is because it was a boldness of this moment is a chance to either win big or lose. So when I think about like all the people in my life, let's use my kids as an example. I did not like shooting games. I did not like Fortnite. I did not like it in the beginning. Now, you know, I play Fortnite more than probably anybody now. But the reason I do is because at some point I stopped saying that I don't like it. I started saying that I'm about to win big and I'm gonna play the game with my kids. And so what ends up happening is all the displeasure disappears, and now the fun and the way that my life evolved at that point, be it a game, changed. Every time you came down here to visit me when we were doing record label stuff, I wasn't a vegan. I could always have had a mindset of, why do we always got to go to specific places? But what I felt like was, you know what? I'm winning big. Everything that I'm doing, I'm enjoying. So now versus me figure out what we're going to eat when you came down here, we already know. I'm looking forward to it. Let's hit that Waffle House. Let's get some pho. Like, you know, same thing with me and my wife. I'm choosing to win big. So when she decides to watch a show, it don't matter what the show is. I'm about to win. So now I've eliminated all the boredness from my life, because all the things that I approach, and I'm using things that are associated with other people, how I've included them in my life, and now I win big with them all the time. And that's everything outside of me. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah. And okay. So to me, like what you're saying, that's more so making sure you don't lose, but not necessarily winning big. And I'll explain. So like, yeah, when you change your mindset to loving everything is a win. Like you really can't lose, because man, I'm spending more time with my family. I'm getting to, you know, I can spend more time with my kids and play this game and build this bond, this partnership. But I guess what I would say for winning big would be like, let's bring when I come down and we go eat. And I know like even eating vegan, I'm like, man, I'm cool that Troy would go eat some vegan stuff with me, but that's not winning big to me. That's just, we just not losing. We just kind of in the good. Winning big would be like, man, let's go find like a 5-star chef and just see if we can just get this meal and trade them some music for it or something. I don't know, you know, something. Yeah. Something that's it's like a bit of a challenge. There's a bit of an unknown to it, but you're so excited to try it. Like the example again of me and you going to the mall that day. We had no reason but to promote, but we were thinking big. We were like, all right, we don't have anything to do right now. We can sit here and make more music, which is cool, or we can just go do something big. We don't know what it is. Let's go to the mall. We ended up getting sponsored by Ed Hardy. Still don't know how that happened. I can never explain it, even if I wanted to. But we got it. We got sponsored by a brick clothing brand, just from trying something that we didn't know would result in anything. And if we didn't get that, we still have fun going out and promoting, talking to people, just being seen.
So I'm gonna add to that. And I'm with you. And so what I'm saying is, the being bold and the being open, the way that I'm saying, is where the opportunity presents itself. Because when I go back to those days when we were in the mall, I didn't always want to go do that, because my mindset was there is going to be resistance the entire way that we're going to do this, because we're going to be trying to sell, or we're going to be trying to do all these things that are different than what me and you are just doing right now, and that's sitting down. But the opportunity came because I really flushed that out. I really was like, it doesn't matter. I'm about to just be that dude. And so literally I walked around the mall like I was that dude. You walked around like you was that dude. And see, that's the boldness that attracts everything else, I feel like. And again, we talking about small things. Go ahead, Jay.
But check this out. We also removed the resistance. We didn't have no CDs. All we had was shirts that had our record label. We didn't carry no CD. We didn't try to sell one item to one person, because we know we just so y'all know, we've gotten kicked out of every major mall in the Houston and Dallas Fort Worth area for selling CDs. We made a lot, but then we eventually always got kicked out. Like we even set up a kiosk that had an empty kiosk, and we was just really just selling in the 30 minutes that they allowed us to be there before the security came. But we removed that resistance. We was like, nah, we're not even trying to make money. We're not trying to do anything. We just going big and bold just for the sake of it.
So I'm gonna tell a little story real quick about being on Miami Beach, right? Yeah. And the boldness of it, and you know who we are. And again, this is what I'm conveying too. Like me and you was walking around Miami Beach at the time. Joe Budden was a big artist. You know what I'm saying? Everybody knew who Joe Budden was. Everybody knew him out there on the strip. There were a lot of big artists walking around, but this is just one of the ones that we would happen to come up. So we go up to Joe Budden and was like, hey, now this is bold in itself. Out top, hey, we out here selling our CDs, buy our CD. Yeah. And Joe Budden look at us like, do y'all not know who we are? Do you not know who I am? And we were like, yeah, we know who you are. You know, we want you to buy this CD. And so, again, it's two things here. Bold because we could have easily, I've been in a situation before where there was a celebrity or somebody, and our mindset was like, let's just give it away free. Like we already were shut down because we didn't want to feel that resistance to have to deal with that. So in this situation, even after past experiences, we've already removed. Joe Budden is buying this CD from us. He's going to buy it. This is what it is. So we approach him, and he's like, y'all don't know who I am? Of course we know who you are. That's why we came up to you. Buy our CD. And he's like, okay, well, look, this is what I'll do. Y'all give me the CD free now, and I see y'all again, I pay y'all. Now, there's a bit of boldness in what I'm about to tell you. This is Miami Beach, Memorial Day weekend or spring break, one of those two. There are thousands of people out here. There's bold for us to believe that we're going to give him this CD and think that we're going to get paid or see him again. But guess what? I knew, and I know you knew, we were going to see him again because we knew what we were doing. And then when we saw him again, we approached him, and then what happens? That's the boldness that I'm talking about. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, so all right, from my perspective, I didn't know we'd see him again, but it was a win-win situation either way because like he remembered that we asked him to buy a CD at the height of his career when probably, like you said, everybody was doing it for free. But like you said, when we saw him again, I was hyped at that point. I was like, yes, we finna get this money from him. And that's what he said. He was like, man, I said that, huh? He's like, yeah. He's like, here you go. Bam. And gave us more than what we asked for.
And this is the crazy, which was tight. But again, for me, bro, like, and again, this is not a true no. And that's the reason why I'm talking about, you know, being bold and knowing and not like it was impossible for us to see Joe Budden again. It was literally impossible. And if we had made it a goal to go out and we're going to just try to go to all the hot spots to try to find him, we probably wouldn't have never saw him again. Like if we made that, we would have probably never saw him again. But what we did was we said, okay, cool. We trusted in the universe. I believe that we're going to see him again because I also felt in my heart, even though it was not spoken, that it was impossible for us not to see him again. We're just doing too much. And that's just the belief that I had. Go ahead, Jay.
I love that because, yeah, like, again, playing a game where the odds are in your favor. If we played the game of looking for him a second time, we probably would have never did it. But we were playing the game of talk to as many people as we can. The more people we talk to, the more we can sell, the more opportunities open up because now everybody knows who we are. They see our personality. They're calling us to hang out with them at this party, do this event, do that, and everything. And that was the game we were playing, and we couldn't lose at that game. And because of that, I won't even say because of that, but in addition to, we also met up with him again and some other celebrities.
So I want to say this because as we're talking about it all, I just think to myself that, am I saying to myself, whenever I'm choosing to not be bold, that I'm being bored? And again, as I run through all these ideas in my head as we're talking about it, that's how I feel right now. And then I think about all the opportunity, because again, when you decide to be bold, opportunity just happens. It's just because it's always right in front of you. And it doesn't matter what that is. It's crazy when I think about it. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, it doesn't have to be monetary value. It can be anything you want, because we all have experiences we would like to try. We have states of being we would like to be in. And again, the beauty of states of being, you can be in any state of being no matter what. And so it's like, why not be in the state of being of receiving that what you really want? And being in that being, action comes with it. So you're gonna take those actions as this person. As you said, when we were at the mall, we knew that we were that dude. And in the beingness of that dudeness, we attracted a lot of attention. Like people were just watching us as we walked by, and it was, we weren't doing anything but walking. And I've experienced that multiple times when I've said, you know what, I'm gonna tap into, I'm that dudeness, and it happens every time. And it's like, well, why don't I do this all the time? But sometimes I just don't want that attention.
You know what's funny? And the only reason I'm thinking about this, because you said we were that dude, and then that dude, and it made me think about, so Good Burger 2 just came out, right? Yeah. And we watched it as a family the other day, because just to sit back and do something, right? But I think about the main character. I can't think of his name right now, but the one who actually was I'm a dude, he's a dude, she's a dude. Okay, right? But me thinking about his character in our conversation and the boldness that he had, just as a prime example, there was never any boredness from him. And the cool part about it was, the whole premise of the movie is, and I don't know if this was purpose, but opportunity is always in front of him. Like in this movie, I don't want to, I guess, let me not give any spoilers or whatever. But even in the past movie, all he wanted to do was be happy with his friends and work at Good Burger. And him deciding that there was no limitation on his balance. Now, again, I'm not telling us to be limited. We're talking about thinking outside of the box. But his box, that was what he wanted. That's literally like, his box was, I want this dude to be my best friend, regardless if he wants to be my best friend, and he ends up just being his best friend. I want to work at Good Burger for forever, regardless if Good Burger is going to be here. If it's going to close down, I want to work here. So therefore, Good Burger was there. And I think that's a big message when you talk about being bold, thinking outside of yourself, and not cheating yourself. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, I love that. And I did love the first Good Burger. I'm going to watch the second one. I haven't watched it yet. So, yeah. And that's the thing. What would you say?
No, I said funny too. They goofy, man. But go ahead.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like, there's plenty of examples of just going bold and getting what you want. But even that, like, we've experienced them. Like, we've done both things our whole life, but we might not realize it until we go back. Like, I did do that before. I don't know how that happened. And there's so many great things I've done. I can't tell you how I've done it. I can't even reproduce it if I tried. But I will tell you, there have been times where I tried to reproduce moments, and it's always a letdown, because, again, like, I'm going from now a place of, I know all that's possible. It has to reach this bar or else. And again, we're playing that losing game, because that 1% has to strike and everything else has to be perfect. We have less than 1% of getting that exactly the same. But if we're playing a different game, then we have 95.789% of us getting that happiness, staying in that joy, by just switching that game where the odds are in our favor.
So I'm going to show you something real quick. And again, this is kind of the same, but kind of not the same though, right? And I think about, first time beginner's luck. I think that's what the term began. But I think about the very first time I went to Vegas, right? I was younger. I was down there visiting with some friends, and I had already had in my mindset, because, people in my family, they grew up gambling and stuff like that. And so I know how much they have put into games that they never got out. I don't want to say lost, because it was a part of their joy, right? So they put into the slot machines or the roulette tables or the dice games, and then they didn't get back out. So in my mind, before I went there, I literally that was my mindset. Like, I'm not gonna play these games. I'm not gonna waste my money. So there's a lot of things that come along with just that term alone. But somewhere along the way, while I was there, I was like, well, I got $20 here. I'm gonna play this, and I'm only gonna win with this, right? Now, this is crazy. The very first time I go to the casino, I sit down in a Luxor and I sat down and I put the $20 in. And I pulled the thing twice. The second time I won $250. And I was like, oh my God, right? Now, again, I said I'm going to win with this $250. But in the back of my mind, I still have, I'm not going to waste all of this money. So in my mind, I was like, okay, cool. I'm playing one more time while I'm out here. And I went to another slot machine and I was like, I'm going to win with this $20. And I actually won $400. So I ended up making like $650 and I didn't gamble no more. Now, this is what's crazy. So time passes and now I feel like I can win, but let me go ahead and set the stage because the only way that I'm going to win is if I do all these things, right? And so I looked up that, did you know you can't even win a jackpot on a slot machine unless you put a certain amount of money in it? Did you know that you can, like, all these different parameters? So now I go to the casino and I start to formulate my plan based off of this. Now I got $100 and I know how to win. So I'm going to do it this way. Why I got to put in all my money and not take nothing out, right? And again, that was because of all the limitations I feel like that I gave myself in doing the things that I want to. Now, again, it's gambling, but I have examples in my life that have nothing to do with gambling that are the exact same way. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah. And again, you were playing different games. I mean, like the second time you went, you were playing to win at gambling. The first time you were playing to just have an experience of a chance to win at gambling. And it's a totally different thing. Like you already said it. You was like, if I lose this, I lose it. I'm only playing with this. If I win, though, I'm cool, and I'm not gonna keep playing my winnings. I'm gonna take my winnings and go. Like you already kind of had the type of game you wanted to play in mind, and so the odds were in your favor in that game because even if you lost, you still won because you had that experience of trying something new that you hadn't did before because it was your first time. So yeah,
I love it. So this will be my question for you. So just kind of since we're getting close to the end, boredness and boldness. Like when it comes to identifying these two in each situation, how does that really look? Because for me, the way that I see it is on a daily basis. I have a to-do list, of a life to-do list. It's not items for work. It's just a life to-do list. Yeah. And sometimes I can sit back and I can be like, you know what? I don't want to do any of this stuff right now. But the reason why I'm saying that like that is because this is not defeat, meaning I don't think that I can do something. It's defeat, meaning like I don't have the energy because of all the things, the parameters that kind of come along with it. And I get stuck, right? And then, if you were to ask me in a moment, maybe I might say, oh, I'm bored. How do we address that? How do we approach that so that way we can move that to boldness?
Yeah, I would say that even answers itself because that's the trigger. Like, so you realize, man, I'm bored right now. Like so now that you know that boredness means you're not being bold in your ways, you're like, oh snap, how can I be bold? What is it I really want to do in this time, in this moment? And it might be something like just fly on a plane first class to another country. So then you might say, dang, my bank account says I can't do that right now. But I would love to just jump on a first class flight across the country right now. What else can I do? And then like you might start having these ideas and you'd be surprised because, oh snap, that is a fun route to try to get this on. Let me try. Let me see if I can call this person or call this airline or just whatever comes to mind is going to be something that guides you to the next thing. And let's say you do it. Let's say you end up spending like 2 hours trying to get that first class flight. It didn't pan out. Well, because you're now in a joyous state from just even attempting that, as you pointed out before, more opportunities open up. And it's like, oh, well, at this level of joy, I can do this now. I can call this person or I can do this, which might not have anything to do with the first class flight, but you're still in this prolonged state because you're following that and letting that guide you. And then it might end up where later you meet up with somebody that says, hey, I got this private plane flight to so-and-so. You want to ride? Or, anything can happen. But go ahead.
So, and so I would say also for myself, the boldness is in the effort. And it's not the actual effort to do something specific, but the effort to challenge what you're currently doing. I think that's where part of the boldness is, because I don't want anybody, well, I guess I should say this for myself. Don't be confused with don't confuse doing something with not being bored. And the reason why I say that is because there have been plenty times where I'm bored and I don't have the effort for the boldness, and I might just get a game on my phone and just be doing it. And I'm literally still bored. I literally still feel the exact same. And, so for me, the effort of the boldness is a key. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, I agree. You touched on that because that's true. I've just done things because I'm bored, thinking which could usually be a fun activity like playing the game, but that's not really what I want to do. So I'm still bored, but I don't realize it. I'm mislabeling it. But not only that, so even right now, I feel like I have more energy than usual. Like I'm just hype. But because all across the board, I've been applying this past week. Now, everything I couldn't act on yet because there's some things that I just have to do logically first, or maybe something I just need to take care of. But because I'm still excited about it, it makes it easier for me to do those things on my to-do list, because it's like, as soon as I finish this, I can go do this. And I don't know, it's like a parent telling you got to clean your room before you can go play outside or something. I don't want to clean my room, but I want to play outside. So I'm going to do what I need to do to wrap this room up and make it look as clean as possible so I can go have fun doing exactly what I want to do. And that's the trick in it all too. Like always have in mind what you really want to do and just go for it.
So to that point, on the flip side of it, don't always confuse doing something that you feel like you're bored with as not being bold or you're not having fun. And again, the prime example, I'm just going to give you an example though. Like last night I was up, I sent you a message. I was like 2 or 3 in the morning, right? And I was editing videos. And, as I think about it, now, number one, I chose to do them at the time that I wanted to do them. For whatever reason, I don't know. Maybe I was being bold. But none of the way, now again, I felt like I was just doing it because I didn't have nothing else to do, I guess maybe. But none of the way I felt bored, because while I was doing it, I was attuned, I was tapped in to a different world. And so I said that just to say that it can work, the other way as well. You just have to just look at the I feel like the effort behind it. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, it's true. Like sometimes the stuff that is on your to-do list or things you had to do can be that bold thing. Like, okay, I'm gonna do this the best. I'm gonna edit this video the best that a video can be edited. You can get lost in that and just feel so good about it. Like bold doesn't have to be in scale of billions or trillions of dollars, or just like something exotic that you never. It doesn't even have to be. It could be very simple as, I'm gonna paint a section of my room. I'm gonna organize the room that I'm in such a way that it just brings me a little more joy. I'm gonna draw a circle in my driveway just because. It can be anything. But go ahead.
No, I like that you said that, because what I'm saying and what I agree with you is saying sometimes you don't even realize your joy. Sometimes you don't realize it. And the example that you just said would be a prime way for you to realize it. If you don't realize that the way that your room is set up brings you joy, change it around or mess it up and see how you feel then. Just being real, like you might even act like everything is okay, but internally you will feel different. And it's just one of those things. Or be somewhere messy and clean up and just see how, things change for you. So I think that, that effort and effectiveness and also just realizing, like, take a second to I didn't take a second last night to realize that I was joyous while I was doing it. I didn't realize it until today that we're talking, right? I just kept going last night until I was done. But I know that I was happy about it, and I know that I was happy about the final product too, though. You know what I mean? So, but go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, and it's true. Like I mean, yeah, you did have a lot of energy in your message, and but and what you said about the room, like I'm thinking about this office that I'm in now. When it's cluttered, like I do feel cluttered, I feel restricted. But like when everything's in its place and it's nice and clean, every time I kind of walk by this mirror in here, I just dance. I'll just do something silly because it's so much space, it's so vibrant, it's so open, it's so much room. But all I did was keep it clean, which could be seen as a chore, but it's also a gateway to happiness too. Like, and again, that's something everyone can do just by putting things in its place and having it set up in a way that you love, because you're in whatever room you're in that room a lot. Go ahead.
Bro, I gotta say this before we get there. So, right, number one, like, and that's you said you could say that it's a chore, but again, that's where recognizing where your happiness is important. And I think that's again a bold thing, right? My wife is a party planner, right? So we always have party stuff around all the time. Yesterday, I said, let's go ahead and move all of this stuff to the storage, right? Yeah, I could have did this months ago. I didn't want to, right? Because I felt like it was a chore. So when you have something that you yourself, a chore is not negative to everybody, but for me, it has a weight, or it has something that I don't want to carry. Now, this is the beauty of it, right? Even though I thought that, I'm able to realize my joy in the process, because as we were taking things out, I was happier and happier as we went. And so if you really think about it, my definition of what a chore was not that, but I was doing it and I forgot that I considered it a chore because it was bringing me joy along the process. And I think that's why you realizing what really brings you joy, or even in the end result that I knew I was going to be super happy about it, it was enough to bring me a joy along the process. We have to be able to recognize those things. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, and I want to say, nothing is exempt from. Okay, I want to give two examples of this. Nothing is exempt from this this joy thing. And I got to be quick because I know we got 3 minutes left. So, one thing I love about movies, right, is the quote unquote bad guy. Like some of the newer movies, they'll still achieve their goal of, like, let's say world domination or something. They'll achieve it. I mean, it won't be long lived, but they still get it because it brought them joy. They planned it out. They saw themselves. They went for it, and they got it. But the reason that the odds weren't in their favor, because it affected too many people, and too many people wanted well-being for themselves, and so it negated the energy of the one guy who had joy in dominating all these people. So that's one instance. Another, I saw somebody on TikTok told a story of this study that they did where they had this robot where it moved it would move like a step to a left, or 50% chance going to the left, 50% going to the right, in any order at all. It's just random. And they showed the pattern and it was all over the room. But then they said they took these baby chicks, and like baby chicks would, whatever they identify with or imprint as their mother or whatever, like they would really feel for it. So the mother chick wasn't there, and they put them all in cages to one side of the room. They thought like that robot was their mom or something. So they all imprinted on that subconsciously. And then when they looked at the movements of the robot, it was only on one half of the room, the one that was next to the chicks. So like their joy, their whatever that is, unseenness was so strong that it caused that robot, who would be all over the room, to just be on that one side.
The one side of the room. That's tight. So one last thing that I'm gonna say too, and this goes to, I watched the TikTok, and it was a guy talking about how long we need to reset or recover. And some people, he said, most people think that they need like all of this time, but you only really need 5 minutes to reset. And this is just a check on your boldness, right? If you're really trying to do something, do it. Be bold enough just to go out and just do it. Don't think about it, right? And do it for 30 minutes. Stop, take a 5-minute break, and do something extremely fun. Listen to music, talk to a friend. He said go talk to the kids. And then he said start right back after 5 minutes and see how much energy you have to finish up and follow through with your boldness. And continue that pattern. And he said before you know it, you studied for 6 hours and only took a half an hour break, taking those 5-minute breaks. And it just will help you in building that energy that you might feel like you don't have in order to do it. If you're not even able to recognize where your joy is anyway, you put your joy where it needs to be so that way you can move forward. But man, with that being said, man, we're grateful for everybody that joined us today, and hopefully helping you realize that you are perfect because you are. And, you know, Jay, you can go ahead and take us out, brother.
Yeah, appreciate y'all that rock with us on this day. We're here every Sunday at 12 to 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, or Daylight Savings. One of them with the Central Time, yeah. And just if you found this helpful, hit that share button, like, subscribe, all that. Tell some people about it. Like, man, y'all need to watch Perfect Mode because we are perfect.
You need to watch that.
And yeah, and just remember, you're a perfect creation made by a perfect creator. So you might as well accept your perfection and enter perfect mode.
If I reminded you that you are perfect, would you argue me down or step into your perfection? Welcome to Perfect Mode, where there are no excuses, no expectations, and we explore the world without limitations. I'm JClay, rapper and spiritual teacher, with my co-host Troy Washington, your friendly neighborhood realtor. Let's be real, so let's be perfect. Everything, anything, plenty things, perfect. Everything, anything, plenty things, perfect mode. Everything, anything, plenty things, perfect mode. Everything, anything, plenty things, perfect mode. Perfect mode, perfect mode, perfect mode, perfect mode, perfect mode, perfect mode, perfect mode. Everything, anything, plenty things, perfect mode, perfect mode. Everything, anything, plenty things, perfect.
Perfect.